Hello guys, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back to the channel, and here we are now with part 9 of the ICM Sky Crane in 1/35 scale. When I left you at the end of part 8, we'd gone round and fitted this pipe with rods and this pipe work and everything, and then off camera I've gone on and done some more, all this pipe work here. You can see these pipes here that are going around. It's all very nicely done. You've got all pipes back here. You've got all this pipe work here. We've got the pipe work down there. There's another few bits that go on here that attach to the undercarriage legs, but they kind of stick out like these do, and they're a bit sort of ominous. They're going to get broken off, so just be a bit careful with those. I did them off camera purely because they've got a lot of attachment points. I actually did them on camera. I did them on Plastic Monkey, Paul. He, every Saturday night, we have a get together at the bench and just sit and chat rubbish and make our models. And I actually did this on that live stream. So if you want to see all that being done, go back and have a look at that. It's up there, Plastic Monkey Saturday live stream, and that was filmed last night, which would have been the 15th of April, 2023. So here I am now with part 9. And I'm just going to go over, first of all, a few bits and pieces that I've got prepared for painting, and some work I've done previously that I can't remember if I mentioned or not. So if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. If I'm not repeating myself, it will all be valuable information if you've got one of these kits or you plan on getting one. So as I say, we've done all that pipe work. I'm now going to give that a coat of black primer just to make sure there's no seam work or anything left on there, because there's nothing worse than starting dry brushing things and you got bloody seams everywhere. So done all that, so hopefully that's all going to be good. These here actually get covered up. We've got these panels. Which one is this? This is this side. No, it's not, it's this side. We've got these optional panels that go on, and they just sit like that. There's an extra little piece you have to glue on that one. They just sit like that, and they sort of cover everything up. But it says in the instructions they're optional, so I'm guessing I'll have to do some research and see if they would have been there or not in the Vietnam era. Maybe these were a later addition. And you got that one there sitting like that. So there should be more attachment points, but obviously they didn't want to go to the expense of slide moulding, but there should be more attachment points on the top of them. So if you want to add that, it's something worth adding. No doubt the resin world will jump on that. So you can see there that sort of makes it all look a bit sort of fatter and everything. But yeah, be interesting to see whether they should be there or not, because the detail that's left on there is very nice indeed. So right, so what have we done? I've got a stack of parts here. Obviously the wheels I've got here ready to paint. These winches that go on the sides, I'll show you them in the instructions in a minute. Let's get one of these out. These winches, I talked about these before, the different legs and everything. There's a horrible seam all around the middle of these things. There's a horrible seam. I wish they'd made them with the centre and then 2 outer plates that go on, but there's a seam in there. It's horrible. It's all sort of chamfered and sunk in and everything. It needs a lot of work to sand it out and get rid of it. In reality, that is like a tin plate over there which is rolled round. The moulding in here is very soft. It's all sort of angular and everything. But sanding, cutting, cleaning, you can get it looking all nice and square. And then got that glued onto that arm there, and they're going to basically go on the side of the helicopter. They're like the 4 separate winches, like for picking up big containers and stuff. Here we have the tail rotor hub. I have a recommendation. This main part here, the black part, comes in 2 halves. If I were you, I would fit that part there. Let me get the instructions. Let me just so you can see what I'm talking about. There it is. Right. You have these 2 halves going together like this. And then you have this part here, G70, going on, and this part here, G118. There are indentations in these arms. You see where I'm pointing, those arms that stick out. I'll show you in a minute where they go. You can see where those arms go. Okay. There are indentations in there. My advice to you would be, don't build it like this. Take F21, stick G70 to it, drill holes where those indentations are, put G118 over, get it nice and square, and then trim off, because these rods on G118, these rods here, are way too long and it holds the centre away. Now maybe that's correct, but it has an indentation in the back and there is a pin on there, so I'm assuming it has to come together. And also with it being out, it's all very, very flimsy. So my recommendation is drill holes, fit that part. These legs will stick through this half only, and then you can sand them off, cut them off, whatever, and then you'll be able to fit them. Another annoying thing, it's annoying on a lot of parts actually, we have sprue nibs that come onto edges and like this, and then they go over onto this. You've got to clean up in here. It's the same problem. It's the same problem on here. You can see it there. We've got it there. It's the same under here. I mean, this one here is annoying because it's on the top. I know I mentioned that in part 8. I can feel something there, so that needs more work. But it's annoying they got the sprue nib going on there. You know, they could have had it on the back of the part, but it actually comes over onto the front. It's like a tackle mistake. And I realise, guys, this kit has been developed and made in a bloody war zone. So, you know, I'm nitpicking, but I'm just raising your awareness to what you've got coming if you're thinking about getting one. So yeah, you need to be, like with this one here, you've got to get in there with your little knives and start cutting and everything. You can probably see in there where it is, where the sprue nibs are. But it is what it is, and it just needs a bit of cleanup, that's all. So yeah, I got the cranes done. I've done the tail rotor spindle. This part here goes in. In the instructions, you can see on the back of there are little legs. Little legs I'm pointing at on the back of this grey piece. It looks like in instructions they point up, but they should actually point down. So that sits in there, and then this piece on the top, this is, if I can find it in here, it's this here, it's this assembly here. So G51, G130 and G129 go together, and it's got indentations in the side. It actually should be holes. So I've opened up those indentations to hollow it out to make it look a bit more realistic. So there we go, that's how it should be. So hollow those out and then it'll look a bit more realistic. There's a light that goes in there, obviously leaving that off. I'll fit that later. I've checked the fit, it fits lovely. We'll leave that off and just plonk it in after with a bit of white glue or something. It's a red night. So that's that. Undercarriage legs I've built up with the aircraft brass legs in. All goes together very, very nicely and now is extremely strong. I've filled the gaps in there with super glue, so I'm going to give them a test prime now to see how they look. But yeah, they are very, very nice indeed. You also get, obviously, there's the nose gear as well. You obviously get in here, you're getting these scissors, okay, and these are handed. They will only actually fit one way. I can guarantee you I've got the wrong one here. But they actually fit on like that, and you can see they're absolutely gorgeous. They're really, really nice. So that's those. On the front one, don't be a clown like I am. On the front oleo scissors, there's a flat and a pin, and I actually cut the pin off like a bloody idiot. So you've got a hole in here, and you've got like a flat on there. You can see there's a hole to the left and a flat to the right. So I've actually just cut a piece of 1mm tube and glued it in there, drilled it, glued it in there. So now I've got a location so it will fit in there like so. And I'll do that probably after I've done the chrome for the actual sort of hydraulic section of the leg. So so that's the undercarriage taken care of, and then we'll fit it. I was thinking about brass pinning it or something because it's not going to be very strong, but looking at it, the actual area of contact on here is quite large, so it could well be that it's going to be absolutely fine. We shall see. I was thinking about putting a brass leg through there, but then you'll see it, because when you look at it on this angle, you can see there's daylight between the parts. There's daylight in there, so we shall have to see. I was thinking about pinning it up here, but I can't pin it down the bottom because the brass roller just comes straight through. I could pin it on an angle, I suppose, But what I should have done is, before I put these legs together, I should have tacked that on there with a drop of super glue and then drilled through before I put the outside on. Then I would guarantee that the pins would line up with the holes, but I wasn't forward thinking enough there, so perhaps I've helped you out there if that's something you want to do, but it will make that area a lot stronger. Itchy wrist. Gone on and built up the radiator fan and its radiator and its cooling fan. We've got some hydraulic bits on the side there. That's all pre-primed in black, so I made sure I get the paint behind it and everything. We've got the these are the hooks with the cables for these cranes, so that's going to go up in there like that. Okay, so you can see it's very, very nice, all very, very visible. Something I don't know is if in wartime these hooks were red or yellow or whatever, because I've seen examples of the Sky Crane and they seem to have red or yellow hooks, and I'm not sure if it's just a modern thing or whatever. Why is my wrist itching so much? So that's that, and then that support there for the radiator there. The other thing I've noticed, I'm going to cover some errors I found in the instructions. Again, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, so if I have, guys, I'm sorry. But where are we? Okay, here, assembly 78, which is this here. I'm totally unprepared. I haven't got it in front of me. Where is it? Come here. Sorry about this, guys. Where is it? There it is. Out with a pair of tweezers. There we go. That assembly there, as you can see, I've thinned out the plastic to make it look thinner inside, and then sprayed it black inside before it's fitted, and I've also sprayed the area black where it goes. You can see here they're showing it going down, and it has looks like a raised area for you to fit it over. There's nothing there at all. It goes sort of there, so it sits on there like that, but sort of who knows where, how far back or whatever. I mean, there's missing rivets, so that should give you a good indication. But what I intend to do is get the prop shaft, not glue this in place until the prop shaft's in, and then glue that underneath the prop shaft to guarantee that it lines up with the bearing support on the prop shaft for the tail rotor. So that's what we're going to do there. I'm not going to glue that on now. Obviously the prop shaft's going to come out the back of the gearbox, and it's going to go back to here and here, which is all solid, and then once we've got those positions right, then we can slide it in and get it right on there. There's me pointing all this, sorry guys. You've got this position here, here and here and here, so once the prop shaft's in and attached to the gearbox, then we can slide that under and glue it in place, because at the moment you ain't got a clue where it's supposed to go. So that was my advice there. And then coming over the page, this box here, it looks like it's just telling you to put it down. Here's the box, all pre-painted and everything. It looks like it's telling you to put it over there because of the way those arrows go. It's not, because if you extend the arrows down, like I have with a pencil, you can see here, that's coming down to there. Again, they're showing like two raised areas that this box is going to fit over. Well, there's nothing there, it just floats around. But you have got this disc here. So my advice would be, when it comes that time, I'm not going to do it yet because I don't want to break anything, but my advice would be to glue this into that hole and make sure it's sitting nice and vertical, and then put this down over the top. Oh, come on. Put this down over the top so that it sits in the right place, and then you know you've got that in the right position then, because that's what's going to determine the position of that box. Because again, just like with this bearing carrier back here, there's absolutely nothing that shows where that goes. There's a few missing rivets, but hey, you know, there's no location for it. So that would be my advice. Glue that in there and then slide the rod down, slide the box down over the top of that rod. So that's that. Coming along back here, there's nothing really much more to talk about, I don't think. Nothing more I've found so far anyway. As you can see here, they're fitting that rod down in after that box has gone in. Well, if you don't know where that box is going to, that rod ain't going to fit. So be a bit careful there. So that's that for now. So what I'm going to do now is get all these parts primed in black, get some more black down on here, and then I'll come back. And there we go. And just want to show you a couple of things. You can see what an improvement hollowing out that box on the top there makes. It just makes it all look a bit more sort of detail, and you know, having holes everywhere is great, really. I've got a bit of seam work to do on these sponsors for the undercarriage. There's a bit of a seam. Where was it? There. I got a bit of a seam there, so I'll deal with that. May just be another sort of application of Mr. Surfacer and then sand it out, really. What else have we got here? And you can see here, you can see I've still got a witness of a seam there in the middle, but I think I'm going to leave it. I think that's going to be good enough. But yeah, it's a lot of work to get them to look good, and they're not very nice at all. That's a big one for the aftermarket there. Radiator looking all lovely, all the bits and pieces there painted, so that's great. And I've done I know some people don't like it, but I've done the black on here, and then I'll mottle it all, or appreciate it, whatever, with something like, I don't know, XF76, like a duck egg blue colour, duck egg green, and then do the olive drab, and it will give it a nice blotchy look then. But you can see it's looking great. The detail on there is astonishing. I think it's really, really nice. It's just a shame about you can see where I said about that sprue nib in there. You can just see a witness of it, so that's going to have to be sanded out some more. So you know, I just wish they'd put the bloody sprue nib underneath. Designers just don't think. That's something I love about Wingnut Wings. They always put the sprue nibs in inconspicuous places. So there we go. Anyway, let's move on. I think I'm going to take Jess out, and then when I come back we'll see what else we can do. Right, so we've done a lot since the last little snippet. I did take Jess for a walk, and in fact this is like 2 days later now. So what have I been up to? Right, undercarriage legs. Sanded them back. I use the black primer as a guide coat just to get any, because you do get some marks where these are cast, so just make sure they're all gone. So I've done that. Then I've given them a coat of the Mr. Metal primer thinned with rapid thinners, and it tends to work a lot better. Thank you, James Mower, for that tip. So it's had that, then it's had a coat of the black, then it's had a coat of the black gloss, the Mr. Colour GX2, which I think is one of the best gloss blacks you're going to get. And then it's had Alclad chrome, and now as you can see it's masked up, ready to have the oleo legs fitted, and we'll get some green paint on there or something, probably fit them first. So that's that one done. And then we've also got here the little front undercarriage leg there as well. And if you haven't seen it, these are the Aerocraft brass undercarriage legs. The plastic legs seem very, very weak, particularly the nose. And it's not often I would actually say, you know, this is an absolute must-have. But I think those brass undercarriage legs for this kit, if you're building it on its legs, is a must-have. They are just, I believe they are necessary. And it's a shame the kit didn't come with them originally, but with the additional costs, and as I said before, this thing has been developed, designed and produced in a bloody war zone. So yeah, think about that. We've painted the exhausts. Can't remember if I showed you these before. I did these initially with like the black Mr. Surfacer, as you know, and MIG Ammo have sent me some A-stand paints. In fact, I'll grab them now. Now, A-stand paints, I haven't reviewed these before, but basically from what I can gather, A-stand is basically Alclad. Alclad was an English company, I believe, owned or managed by Americans, and apparently Alclad took away the right to use the name. So what's happened is MIG Ammo have gone in and rebottled the Alclad product. These are the Alclads as we used to know and love, okay, and Alclad took the name away. So it's now HB Hobbies or something they're called. Still made in the UK, but MIG Ammo, I don't know if MIG Ammo are buying them in drums and rebottling them, or bottled in the UK or whatever, I don't know. But they've sent me some here, and we've got here we've got engine manifold, and as you can see there, it is like a bottle of green thinners with some copper in the bottom. So I thought I'll give that a go, and it'll sort of give it a metallic-y look. So shake it and shake it and shake it, and then you can see it's all, you know, it's all pigmented, it's all there, all the copper colour is all going around in there, all great. Yeah, you can see it there in the bottom, lovely. When you pour it out, because of the shape of the bottle, I believe, all you get is thinners. None of the pigment comes out. I think you can see there, if I hold it up to the camera, all that's coming out is thinners. So what we need to do is, I think, get it out with a pipette. Either that, or this has gone faulty somehow, I'm not sure. I've never had that problem with Alclad, but when you look at the shape of the bottle, this would allow the pigment to flow as you pour it out, whereas this one, it's going to hold the pigment, you're just going to get the thinners off the top. So something worth looking at. So it didn't really go very well, and I also found it attacked the plastic very easily. So we've got that one. We've got the hot metal carbon. I'm going to give this one a go, but again, I think we'll have to remove it with the pipette. But you can see here, with this stuff, you can see the tiny amount of pigment in the bottom of there. You can just see it's like a millimetre on the bottom, and the rest of it is all thinner. So I don't know. I've got one here which is, this is aluminium. Again, you can see on the bottom of there, you can see you've got all this thinner, and on the bottom there is less than a millimetre deep of pigment. When you shake it up, you get this sort of, I don't know, be interesting to see how it works. And then this one here, this is the polished aluminium, and this one doesn't seem to settle. But there we go, you can see on there we've got the pigment. I'm not sure with this one how it will it come out. Yeah, it looks like, you see with this one we've got some pigment in the top. You can see it doing its thing there, with it all sort of running around in the thinners. So we'll give them a go on another video, but I don't want to use them anymore on here because, quite frankly, I don't like them. Gloss black base primer. I believe this is an enamel based product. I'll have to give that a go on something else one day. And then here we've got transparent blue, which I think I might give a go. Not sure if this one's actually going to come out blue. Yeah, we're going to get blue from that one. So I'm going to give that a go with some heat staining. But first of all, I think I'm going to go back to the old Alclad. I've got one here. I don't know. I've got one here which is jet exhaust, I think it's called. Come here. There we go, jet exhaust. I think that's going to be like the hot carbon one, but you can see it. Oh, you can't see it anymore because I've just bloody shaking like an idiot. But this one was like this deep, you know, as thick as my finger in pigment, and then the rest is thinners, and there's nothing like as much thinners in there because it's like nearly half used. So very, very strange, these A-stand paints. We shall see. They've sent them to me for nothing to review for them, which is very, very nice of them. I didn't ask for them, they offered them to me. But as you guys know, whenever I test a product, I will always give you an absolutely honest review. I won't tell you this stuff is amazing just because they gave it to me. But at the moment, I can't get on with it. So we shall see. Maybe one of you can tell me I'm doing something wrong. Probably just a case of taking it out of the bottle with a pipette rather than trying to pour it out. Anyway, back to the model. So I've got to do some work on those exhausts, get them dulled down. The actual material these are made of, it's like an imonic material probably. It's almost, when it's new, it's like a German grey colour, and then you'll have like polished areas where it's been welded and ground. I know this because I used to make the nozzles for the Harrier, the cold nozzles, the zero scarf at the front and the hot nozzle at the back. I used to do a lot of machining on them, and the material was always like that sort of matte grey colour, or even sometimes like a matte sort of grey green, like a very, very dark sort of grey green, not like interior green in aircraft. So we'll have a little play with that and see what we can do. I found some good reference pictures on Google Images, so we'll have a look. Now the engines, I've gone on and done the engines. Now, as I say, I've got some reference pictures in Prime Portal, looked at engines that are used, and then sort of come back a bit, because obviously the one that's in Prime Portal is in a museum. It's outside, it'll be weather stained and everything, so you've got to be careful of that. And obviously it's seen a lot of use. So we've got to be careful of that. So I'm trying to sort of look how it's burnt and coloured and corroded and all that, and try and sort of take a step back from it. And this is what I've come up with. Now this area here, this I believe is the CCOC combustion chamber outer casing, and that looks to be like an aluminium colour. It's not going to be aluminium because it won't take the heat, but it's like an aluminium colour. So I've done that, and then this area at the back here, we've got the turbine area. It seems to be sort of hotter towards the end. It seems to be burnt up here and cooler down here. So basically that's how it looks. So that's what I've done. No masking whatsoever. This is all just done freehand. Now this area of the compressor stages here at the rear end here, this is LP70 polished aluminium, and this area up here is flat aluminium, which is LP38, I believe. Yes, LP38. And then this area back here is LP20, and this area here is LP19. So this is light gunmetal, and that's gunmetal. So it's basically all done with LP colours, with the exception of here, which is my mix of grey-green for RAF aircraft. Not interior, exterior. So that's what I've done there. These bits around here, they're either sprayed with flat aluminium, or with LP70, or with LP27, which is German grey. So give you a close-up look at those. And then if you watched Sue's live stream last night being Tuesday the 18th of April, you would have seen me doing the weathering. I've got more work to do, some more detail painting and bits and pieces, but pretty much these engines are done. Have a good look at that. If you've got this kit, have a good look at that. You'll see how all this stuff goes, because the instructions aren't that clear in some of these areas. But there's a lot of work you could do. There's a lot more plumbing that could be added. You could really spice these things up. The beauty of them is they're both identical. So what you can do when you've done both your engines, have a look and see which one you think is nicest. And if you've messed one up in this area here, then you can put that one on the left hand side, because the engines go like that. So when they're next to each other, as you can see, if you've messed up on this one, you won't really see it. So quite handy to do that. So you can see they're going to go like that. You can see they're going to look quite snazzy on there. They look quite nice. Just there you go. So all coming together. Now this is the bit I've been dreading. I knew it was going to take me a long time, and I decided not to do it on camera because it would have been on off with all these tiny little bits and pieces, all the different colours and all that. I just sat down, got on with it, and did some painting. I also did some work on it on the Sue's Sunday live stream. That would have been on Sunday the 16th. So done a little bit of work on there. The exhaust turbines, done those. They're sprayed in gunmetal, LP19, and then dry brushed with some silver, and then I've gone in with some thinned matte black paint just to get inside there. So when we look now inside our exhausts, what we will see, get it lined up, there we go. What we will see is down in there is hardly anything. That's what we want. We want to be able to just sort of see that there's something in there, but nothing really glaring us in the face, because it's not that nice. It's just a flat piece of plastic. They probably could have added more detail there, but for what you can see, it's just not worth it. So there we go. So yeah, don't get me wrong, I know I'm giving this kit a little bit of a hard time at the moment, and it's because I'm finding little niggles. But it's not. It's definitely not a a void. It's a beautiful model, and as you can see, it builds into a beautiful thing. But it's a little bit tricky in places. It's certainly not for the beginner. This model, certainly not for the beginner. So go and have a look at Hannant's. Edward have got some pictures up on Hannant's. I have actually emailed Edward and asked them if they would send me some images of their instructions, and they just didn't even reply. So thanks for that, Edward. That was really good of you. So there we go. They've done some sets. They've done a seatbelt set, which is just 3 seat belts in steel. They've done an interior set, which is basically just the instrument panels. they're doing the masking set, obviously, and they've done a set which is called exterior, and from what I can see, it's just these grills here on these intakes, which, well, you might think they need replacing, I don't. But anyway, be interested to see what else they come up with. And also there's a company on Hannant's, I can't remember what they're called now, they starts with a K, and they're doing a 3D instrument panel for it, which looks very nice indeed. And in that set you're also going to get your seat belts as well. But it's unfortunate. I wish somebody would bring out a set with all that beautiful structure that goes all inside here, all around the back of the cockpit and everything. You could really make that pop, because it's just plain plastic walls in here, but in reality you've got this, all that structure exposed. So it'd be really nice to see all that. But I think just with an instrument panel and some seat belts, I don't think that's going to be enough really to make it really pop. I think it needs more. No doubt people will jump on it. Anyway, I've talked enough. I'm going to get something else done and then I'll be back. Right then guys, I take back all I said. As you can see now, we've got these exhausts done. There's one more I forgot. We've got these exhausts done and I think they look pretty good. Tell me what you think. I think they look pretty good. What I'm trying to depict here is a sort of not unused but very little used. It's not going to be all burnt and battered and stuff because I haven't weathered the model. I don't want to weather the hell out of it. I just want you to see the model for what it is. I'm planning on giving this away when it's done. I'm planning on giving it to the helicopter museum down in Weston-super-Mare, so we shall see how it goes. But anyway, so that's the finished article, that's the effect. And I take back all I said about these A-stand paints. Yes, there's an issue with the bottle, but basically what I did, they have had a coat of Mr. Surfacer 1500 as a base coat. Okay, then I played around, made some mistakes, got it wrong, tried this A-stand, it attacked the plastic, and I've sanded it all back. So then what I did was give them a coat of LP19. So what you could do on yours, give them a coat of primer, give them a coat of LP19. That's going to give it a pretty hard wearing base coat to start playing with your Alclads. Then I gave them a very light fogging of jet exhaust, which I think jet exhaust is going to be this one, hot metal carbon. They look very similar. So that's what I did. I just gave it a very light fogging with that, just to sort of tint, so you can kind of see the gunmetal coming through, but it's got this sort of jet exhaust colour to it, and I gave it a good coat of jet exhaust on the inside. Then what I did, went around the areas where it's been welded, which is around here. This is actually a bolted flange here, but they've missed the bolts out. So gone around there and around this rim here with stainless steel, okay, which is still going to be available from A-stand. So that's that done. So you could use any bright silver there. Just very lightly painted it in and around those joints. Then what I did over the area that I've just done silver, this stuff is brilliant. This is really, really nice. It's very, very thin, so it's very forgiving. And I just basically fogged that over the areas where I'd put the stainless steel. So you can see, if you concentrate your eyes in this area here, you can probably see a bit of a blue hue, and then sort of the stainless steel on the bottom. That's what I was after, is just kind of this transition into blue where it's got hot from the welding and stuff. So that's that. Then I fogged it over with this. Now this one here, as I said, as I was saying 2 minutes ago, it's a nightmare. You can't get out of the bottle. If you use a pipette, it's perfect. You can't pour it out because the pigment's so heavy, it goes to the bottom and you just get thinners. So I used the pipette and it was lovely, and I fogged that over, and you can see that sort of very sort of faint copperish sort of colour on the it's giving it a kind of metallic look. So really pleased with that. And then it was all a little bit too shiny. I didn't like it too shiny, so I've gone over very lightly with some LP23 flat clear, just to kind of take the sheen out of it, but not make it totally dead flat. You could make this area here dead flat if you wanted to, but basically I wanted the whole thing to be sort of just have a sheen. So you can see there they are, both done, both looking the same, and really happy with how they've come out. When they're sat on the back of the engines, let's just show you how it's going to look. Let's get that into there, and then we'll get this one, which which way is this one going to go? That's the left-hand engine. So you can see now when it's all together, it sort of forms a whole sort of new look to the whole thing rather than just looking at the exhaust. So there we go. So that is our completed engine. That's the left-hand side, if that's going to be the left-hand side. But, I forgot to mention as well, this has had a wash. You'd have seen me doing that last night on Ice Queen's channel. That's had a wash of industrial dirt from, where is it? Is it this one here? That's deep black, but it's this one here. Modeller's Rod oil washes. I love these things, they're great. I've used industrial dirt on there, which is like a very, very dark grey, and then gone in with a cotton bud and removed it and tried to get a sort of mottled effect on there with it on that silver paint. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how they've come out. They look great, in my opinion. Let's see how it looks on the helicopter. Let's just bung that down there. There we go. So you can see now how it's all going to look when it's all on there. It's quite a prominent part of the model, so it needs to be done nicely. So yeah, it's coming on well. That's the one bit I was dreading on doing this, and I'm glad it's out of the way because it's a lot of work, a hell of a lot of work. A lot of, you know, changing colours and going back over and making mistakes and all sorts. So we got there in the end. Okay, so moving forward, got all this glued up now and all looking lovely. I think those engines look quite nice, if I say so myself. Maybe a bit more weathering, maybe a bit more detail painting, but overall I think they're going to look great when they're on there together. You can see them, they're going to sit like that with the exhaust facing out. One sits higher than the other. So yeah, quite pleased with that really. It's a shame really all this lovely detail here is underneath, so you can't really see it, but never mind. Anyway, so that's those done, taken care of. Moving on now to undercarriage. I've got the wheels masked up. I've used the art scale kit masking set. This is the M35005. This is the double-sided set. As you know, I'm using that, and they fit gorgeously. The ring is actually in here, and it's actually a split ring, so it goes in, so it can sit in on the angle like a cone. And you get enough for inside and outside on both main wheels, and inside and outside on the nose wheel as well. And then I've gone around with some 10mm Tamiya tape and just covered up the rest of the tyre. I've fitted the oleos to the main gear and the nose gear. As you can see there they are. They're from the beautiful set from Aerocraft. Now there are some tiny little loops. You can see them here if you didn't see my review. There are some tiny little loops in here. You can see one there. See that one there underneath my finger, well, above my finger. And they replace the chunky kit parts, and they glue on just here on that little lug on the side there. I'm not putting them on because when I remove the masking tape, it's going to break them off. So what I'll do is I'll brush paint them and then just put them on afterwards with a dab of white glue or something. And but the main ones are in there. I just get them off the fret and then fit them into a square lug in there, super glue them in with the VMS black thin, and yeah, all very good. So happy with that. So I'm going to give all this now a coat of paint. I'm going to spray it olive drab, FS34087, and this is the correct colour I think for a this helicopter because it's quite brownish. So that's what I'm going to use on this anyway. So I shall see you in a minute when I've done that. And there we go, that's the wheels all painted. As you can see, the Mr. Hobby paint takes a little while to dry, and it does dry with a very slight sheen, so if you want a dead flat you'll have to give it a flat coat. But we've got the brake detail on the back there. I believe that is like a form of brake disc you can see there, so we'll have to do that in like a steel. Remember, it won't be all shiny like a car because the helicopter won't run along the road and then use its brakes to stop itself like a car does. They're sort of hardly ever roll really, so don't go doing them like highly polished. But there we go, that's the wheels. Those masks really are nice. And there's the nose wheel there. Sorry about my croaky throat, guys. I've still got this stinky cold. But it's not a stinky cold anymore, it's just a bad cold now. But I've done some rotor head parts because I had paint left in the airbrush. We've got all the, you can see all the rotor head parts now. These parts here are actually black anyway, so I'm not going to paint those green. But once it's all in together, because these sort of, they sort of go into there like that, don't they? sort of, it's going to be quite difficult to get all in there, so I thought I'd get the green paint on there now, and that way we know we haven't got any struggles coming down the road. But this is all just very lightly painted, so you've got the black coming through. It gives you a kind of bit of depth, bit of 3D or whatever, I don't know what I'm looking for. There's the main undercarriage leg with the oleo and everything on there, looking very nice indeed. So if you want to get your model stronger and more detailed, then get the aircraft set, which I reviewed the other day. And then of course we've got the main shafts which go through the exhausts. They're going to sort of sit in those holes there and stick out, and then they will attach in turn onto the main drive spindles there, which will they then in turn turn the rotor blades. So there we go. So we're going to let that dry now, and as I say, Mr. Hobby Paint, it's not like Tamiya, it takes a while to dry, so we'll give that a good hour before we handle anything. Otherwise we will, we'll find we've got fingerprints and stuff. So I'll see you back when I decide what we're going to do next. I did get some paint on that rotor head as well. You can see when we've got the green on there with the black shadow behind, it's nice. It's very nice indeed. There could be more detail in this. I'm sure someone like ResKit will bring out a complete new rotor head assembly, and it will be a pleasure to see. Right, so our green paint is all nice and dry now. It's been about 12 hours. So we can get these unmasked. And yeah, this video is I think we're about, what, 45 minutes in, and I think we're on about the 4th day now. It's been slow because I've been doing so much off camera, because I'm trying not to bore the living daylights out of you with all this detail. So he says doing unmasking live on camera, which is so interesting, isn't it, guys? Not. So get this tape off of here. There we go. And then we remove these beautiful masks. And I just want to do this on camera just to show you how good these things are. They really are worth their weight in gold. Look at that. Look at that. Lovely. So yeah, Art Scale Kit, they're my favourite masks. I mean, I've used Edward in the past. I've used what's their names? I can't remember the name of the company. The company used the black vinyl now, but I prefer these. I've got a bit of a gap there, but I've managed to get some paint through there. But as you can see, including the hair that's in there, which is great. As you can see there, the masks are really, really nice. I get hairs in everything. There's a bit of Jess in every one of my models, I think. You can see those masks. They're really, really nice. You get a really clean, crisp line. And these undercarriage legs, if you remember, we did the chrome. So now we can carefully remove, let's take this off of here. Carefully remove the masking tape without breaking the oleo scissors. This is why I left those loops off, because I've got to do this. So push that through there. Then grab it, peel off, and you can see now we've got the chrome leg in amongst the green. That looks pretty good, huh? So onwards and upwards, as they say, and don't know really what to do next. I suppose we can get these pieces here can be fitted into the back of the engines. They've got an alignment peg in them. They are going to be quite tight because there's hardly any clearance, and now we've got the paint on there as well. So that's going to go in like that, just like so. In fact, I'm not going to glue it in case it needs to be readjusted on its length. I've got a feeling this is what determines the fore and aft position of the engine, but I'm going to leave them unglued in case I need to do some jiggery pokery. But you can see now we've got it coming together, so really happy with that. Got that one to unmask. This little one here, it's got to be unmasked. If I can find the end of the tape, there it is. I've got the same problem as Paul at the moment. I don't get hay fever, but I'm really suffering with my eyesight. I can't see anything until about tea time. It's crazy. I've been having to do all my work through a magnifier. So there we go, there's the nose gear. Again with the little polished area. So I'll get the rest of this unmasked and then I'll come back when I've decided what else we're going to do. Okay, so everything's unmasked now and we've got it all bagged up now to keep it all from damage. So we can put this rotor head assembly together again, and let's just quickly get this together. So I'm going to put a drop of cement in there. We don't need to fuss too much about how it all gets glued because, as we've seen before, it stays together with just press fitting. But we do need to make sure that these pins here are aligned on those little units. So that's going to go in there, and then we can make sure that gets aligned in there. There we go. Drop of cement in there. Go into there and make sure that stays aligned. Sorry about the dog barking. I expect Jess will start any second now. There we go. What are you doing? I'm looking for the glue over there. So I'm going to put some glue into these now. It's probably going to dry before I get there, so I'm going to use the white top. So drop in there, drop in there, drop in there, drop in there, drop in there. Too much, got to be careful with this stuff because you do get quite a big dollop on the end of the brush if you're not careful. I think what I'll do is also put some here, 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 and oh, there we go. I just did exactly what I said you should do. Oh, pain in the butt. It's even worse with the great big brush. I've got the little brush in there off the from a Tamiya extra thin. You've got to be so careful with it because you get such a huge globule on the end. It's all drying out here now, look as well. Trying to pre-glue with Tamiya glue is a waste of time. You're much better off with good old Revell Contactor. There we go. And that's all gone together. Now I can get another coat of green paint just to make sure everything's nice and done. And then we can do some detailed painting or something, a bit of washing, and just try and liven it up a bit. Careful not to break anything. So that could just go together like that. So there we are, that's that done. And as I say, we just need to make sure that all these cylinders here are lined up on those pins, because they do easily just pop out. What we could do actually is come in from underneath, not the top, and just put some extra thin in there just to get them together. Just like so. And there we go. That's all glued together now nicely, and that's not going anywhere. And then that disc, wherever that disc may be, there it is, underneath my bag of bits. That's going to just sit on the top, as I showed you before, in those slots. And then we've got a clear disc going to go in the top there. So there you go, you can see our rotor head is together there. And then what we can do, just for a bit of fun, I'll grab a couple of rotor blades. I'll come here. Oh, come on. Bloody things. Right. I don't know which way they go, but they slot in like that. So you can see now what kind of side we're going to have. And obviously that one should go the other way, or they might both be the wrong way. But you can see it's massive. We've got it's bigger than an A2 mat, so it's probably about, I don't know, 630 mil, 620 mil. So there we are, and that's going to sit on top of that rotor head like so, and then it will spin like so. So we can see now, and if we put this on the actual helicopter itself, we can see that it's a big old bird. So luckily, as I say, we can lift the rotor head off, put that on the shelf behind the model to reduce our area that we're going to need to display it on. So there we go, guys. Right, what's going to be next? Okay, so off camera I've painted the bottom of the, you can see the paint is still a little bit sticky, painted the bottom of the rotor head green, and then enabled me to glue this the spindle part in, and now I can just stand it in this piece of cardboard for working on it. As you can see here, we've now got these rods to add. We've got some H1, we've got 6 of those vertical rods, then we've got these cranked arms here, H18, we can see. And what's nice here, they're actually showing us how they go. It's a shame they haven't done this all the way through the manual, but it's nice to see here how it all goes together. And then we've got these little pieces here, and it's a shame they haven't shown us how they go, but I can just assume that they're going to drop into those holes there and then just sit on the end of the arm there. So and then we've got this piece going on the top. Obviously we'll get all that painted and masked up before we do any before we fit. They'll probably fit that right at the end actually. So let's get these bits. So I've got them off the sprue, and I've given them a good clean up. Obviously seam lines all around and everything, get rid of all that, and then I've given them a coat of black Mr. Surfacer, and then we'll put them on here, and then we'll give everything a spray with green. In fact, I may even give it another coat of black to give it some pre-shading, and then give it a light coat of green, which will give it some nice pre-shading effects. What I wanted to do was just make sure we got green inside there so that it wasn't all obviously just black in there. So first things first, H1, this part here is going to go into, it's going to drop down in, let me get my tweezers, it's going to drop down into here. I know you can't really see what I'm doing, it's very difficult for you to see what I'm doing because it's also fiddly and all hidden away, but that's basically the end of this rod is going to go down into this plate, and this end, the hole's going to go into the, oh, this is awkward, plus I've got this eye issue, I can't bloody see what I'm doing. So that's going to sit in there, just like that. So that's how that's going to go. So what we'll do is just grab a drop of extra thin. Remember, this is all going to be painted again, so the glue doesn't really matter. Drop of extra thin in there, drop of extra thin in there. And there we are. And the reason I painted them black, you see the bottom's popping out. It's like the arm's not quite long enough. Or maybe I've got the, maybe it's just not straight. Let's have a look how this side goes in. Let's do the opposite one. So this one. Look, that one's absolutely fine. So it's obviously just a bit of a tolerance build up with everything going together. But in the end it'll all be fine, I'm sure. So I'm going to get these all glued in, and then once I've done all these I'll come back and we'll look at the other parts as well. Okay, so they're all in. As you can see, those rods are in there. The vertical rods, the black ones you can hardly see, I'm sure. They're all in there. All I've done, anything that seemed a little bit short, I've just supported it here and just push down on there, just to give that top piece a little twist down, just to make sure they sit in the holes at the bottom. So end of the day, they're not going to go anywhere. They're glued in at the top. They could just hang if they have to. But there we go. So that's those in. Now we've got these parts here, H18, and they're the little cranked arms that are going to go into here and up into there. And we need to make sure, you can see you've got on the part, there is a there's an end with a sort of a turnbuckle on it, if you like, or whatever, and that end goes down. So we need to make sure that is pointing downwards. So this is going to go into the back of here. It's easier said than done on camera. That's going to go into the back of there like that, and then that's going to swivel up and go into, oh come on, that's going to swivel up and go into there like so. So that goes in just like that. You can see how that's fitted in there. Let's get the lighting a bit better for you. You can see that in there now, just like that. So we'll just put a drop of extra thin in the top and a drop in the bottom, and that will just stay there. So I'll get the rest of those done, and then I'll come back and we'll look at these other little bits. Okay, so that's those in. You can see them all around there. So they're all very nice. It's starting to look a bit more busy now. When it's painted and dry brushed, I think it's going to look great. Now these little links here, we've got H19, and as I say, it's showing them going into there. So I'm assuming they just drop on like that, and just sit on like that. That's what I'm assuming, but I don't know. So what we'll do, we'll put a drop of extra thin into that hole, and then we'll just drop this in like so. I'm assuming that's that. So we shall see. I'll get the rest on, and I think what I'll do is I'll put another drop of extra thin on there and another drop in there. Make sure they don't all fall off. But yeah, so I'll go on and get that done, and then I'll come back. Okay, there we go. They're all done, all on there. What is it? As soon as I start talking, I get a frog in my throat. It's crazy. Anyway, there we go. So they're all on there, all nicely done. So that is going to look great when it's all painted and dry brushed and everything. So I'm going to give that another coat. I'll probably give it a coat of black primer, and then go over it green. We'll get some shadowing and stuff, as I just said, I think. So there we go. We're going to call that a day for this one. So in this video, we've done the rotor head. That's all built up now. We've got the engines done with the exhaust and everything, and I'm really happy with how they've come out. And all looking really good. I think it's a lovely little kit. I think the engines need some plumbing to make them look a lot more attractive, but that's not for this one. This is an out-of-the-box build. But the next one will be big time, super detailed, and I'm sort of looking around at what's coming out in the aftermarket, and it's looking like, for me, my favourite at the moment is the this available at the moment on the Hannon's website is the Keylix set from ResKit. It looks very, very nice indeed. So go take a look at that. So I'll see you all soon, and thanks for watching. Part 10 will be on its way soon, and we'll go from there. Bye for now.